Happy May 19th, folks. Welcome back to the random video blog where every single Friday I, Graham GS and Matthews, run down my rambling wrestling thoughts, share a few stories, etc., etc. And obviously, like I said, today is May 19th, 2017. Now, to most people, they're like, May 19th, what the hell is the significance? Who the hell cares? For wrestling fans, May 19th is a date we may never forget. Not really what happened on that day, but rather the constant mention of that day in WWE programming back in 2006, which was all done with a storyline for Kane and the friggin' bringing back masked Kane against the actual Kane, which was absolutely atrocious. What it really signified was the release of See No Evil in theaters, which I'll talk about here momentarily because today's video blog is running down my top 5 favorite WWE Studios movies. And again, look at the key word in that title there. It is favorite, not best. There's going to be one movie, I've talked about this with Mr. Marceau, RJ, several times over. There's one movie, maybe a few movies actually, that aren't on this list. You're like, wow, that's one of the best movies, why wouldn't it be on here? Again, favorite movies, only from the ones that I've seen. And again, this was kind of a semi-tough list to put together. Some of these are a bit stretches, but this was a tough list to put together just because WWE Studios, obviously, if you've ever seen any of their movies, are typically not that good. They're decent for what they are. A lot of them are truly terrible. So you really have to have an emotional attachment to a certain movie or have to have really, really liked it in order for it to be one of your favorite movies of all time. Obviously, it comes, t-shirt reference, comes nowhere close to being as good as Guardians or Guardians 2 or whatever. Really being as good as any movie really ever. But that being said, we'll get started here with number 5 on my top list, on my list of top favorite WWE Studios movies. Coming in at number 5 is, look at the coincidence here, See No Evil 2. So See No Evil 2 came out, I think, 8 years after the original, which was 2006. They started filming 2013. They made the announcement in the summer of 2013. I was like, that's pretty cool. By that point, I had not yet seen number 1, which again, I'll talk about momentarily, spoiler alert. But I was still looking forward to seeing number 2. I saw number 1 later on that year. I saw number 2 the following year. I own both movies on DVD. See No Evil 2 was pretty good. I mean, there were a few logic gaps. I mean, is it one of the best horror movies of all time? No. But it's definitely one of the better movies WWE Studios has done in recent years, just because, I mean, from a general horror aspect, just the horror genre is so just beaten down. If you've seen one horror movie, you've really seen them all. This really is no different. But Kane reprising the character, the role of Jacob Goodnight as the main bad guy, I thought was great. He's perfectly cast as that character. The supporting cast, all the people that he tries to kill and does kill, again, spoiler alert, at some morgue, I thought played their roles well as well. Again, just a pretty good movie. I might have even enjoyed this more than the original. Actually, I take that back. I did think that this movie was a bit better than the original in terms of what was done in certain aspects. But again, it was a decent movie, not a great movie, but it was still pretty good and a good holiday, or rather, Halloween staple to have watched this every year in the past couple of years. Coming in at number 4 is a bit of an odd choice here from, I think, 2008, I want to say this came out, or maybe even early 2009. Behind Enemy Lines, Columbia, starring Mr. Kennedy. Now, I know they've had other movies. This was the 3rd installment in the franchise. They've had maybe 2 others, maybe one after this. Your typical warfare movie just with people shooting guns and going back and forth. Not much characterization for a lot of the heroes, including Mr. Kennedy's character. But again, for what it is, another movie I own on DVD. It wasn't really that much to buy. It was only a couple bucks, but it's entertaining for what it is. A good popcorn flick. Again, in terms of characterization and drama, not really there. Not an amazing movie, but I thought Kennedy did well. His movie career didn't really take off in terms of doing other movies down the road. But I thought he did well in the role. I think he was hurt around this time when he filmed the movie, so it gave him something to do. I thought he did a good job. Again, the movie itself is not great, but enjoyable for what it is, and I thought it was all right. Coming in at number 3 is, again, surprisingly enough, for as many people that know I just don't like Big Show, is the Knucklehead movie. Knucklehead featuring Big Show from, I think, 2010. Big Show is really not that bad. Again, I don't like Big Show. I'm not a Big Show fan. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be. But as an actor, I mean, he hasn't done many movies really at all. He might have done one movie in the past couple of years. Actually, I know a movie he did in the past couple of years. The movie where he, broke out of jail or some shit. I didn't see that one. I know he was in Jingle All the Way as a friggin' Santa Claus, but still. He's in The Water Boy with Adam Sandler when Adam Sandler's career was still, well and alive way back when years ago. But still, I thought he played well. You know, he did a good job in that role as the wrestler, and it was very short lived. But I thought he did a pretty good job in that movie too. Knucklehead, I thought was funny. Again, not laugh out loud every single scene funny, but I thought he did good. He's got a good sense of humor, which is why he's always been a good baby face when called upon to be. Because I think he's always been a very comedic guy. I think Mark, oh God, I don't remember his last name. Not Ruffalo, not Wahlberg. I don't remember what his name is, but the dude from Royal Pains, the USA Network show that ended a couple of years ago, he did a good job. I think some other woman I'm semi-familiar with, I think, is in that movie as well, but it's basically following the path of Big Show working at a church. He needs to raise money for the church for them to stay in business or stay afloat, whatever. So he becomes a boxer, and he is joined by the Royal Pains actor. I forgot what his name was, Mark something. But they're a good, comedic pairing. There's one good scene. There's one really funny scene where Big Show's like on the bus, like taking a massive shit, and it's really stinking up the place. And some just black woman runs off the bus, and she's like freaking out. It's super funny. But again, it's not laugh out loud funny. But for what it was, I thought it was good. And again, another movie I own on DVD. I thought Big Show did great in his role here. I'm surprised he hasn't been in more movies. So maybe once he winds down his WWE career, I know he's like 40 something now, but for being a giant of a man, the guy's an attraction. And for movies like this, I think he's perfectly cast in. I know the other movie he did, like I said earlier, from a couple of years ago, where he like breaks out of jail, he was a more serious character. But I thought in this movie, as a comedic character, he did a great job. Coming in at number 2 is 12 Rounds, featuring John Cena, starring John Cena from 2009. The only movie on this list I did see in theaters, one of the few movies on this, any WWE Studios movie ever that made theaters, starring John Cena, like I said, 8 years ago. The only one I saw in theaters, I saw it with John, actually, over WrestleMania, or maybe not WrestleMania 25 weekend, maybe it was the weekend before that, but it was around that time. And honestly, I really enjoyed it. I thought the concept was great. The main bad guy is the CIA character from The Dark Knight Rises, as my roommate will never let me forget. But Danny Fisher is John Cena's character name, where his wife gets kidnapped by the main dude who he had wronged years earlier, and he's got to go through all these weird mind games from the main bad guy, doing all these challenges. And honestly, again, the concept is pretty good. I think John Cena does a great job as the I think he is a police officer, not ex-police officer. And the main bad guy does a great job. Obviously, now he's in Game of Thrones. He was in The Dark Knight Rises, not taking many big roles, but he's doing a great job for what it is. And, he's found some success post 12 Rounds. But no, again, a really, really enjoyable movie. I know they did 2 more. The second one was with Randy Orton, a bit darker of a film than the first one. It was good, not my favorite, hence why it's not on this list. I've yet to see number 3 with Dean Ambrose. I've heard it was like all right, so I'll check that out when I can. But I thought this was easily the best of the bunch, and again, a movie I thoroughly enjoyed. And then again, spoiler alert, number 1 here on my list of top 5 favorite WWE Studios movies is none other than See No Evil from 2006, featuring Kane, Jacob Goodnight, as Jacob Goodnight. When the delinquents, the convicts, the people that end up in jail, go to a hotel for a brief vacation, a cleansing program, whatever, and one by one, each of them gets killed off by Jacob Goodnight in just gruesome ways. See No Evil, the eye kind of ties in there in the end. Again, no spoilers if you haven't seen the movie, even though it's a decade old. It's really good. I mean, for a horror movie, is it amazing? No, it's not quite, Friday the 13th, but it's good. I think Kane does a great job in his role. The acting's all right. There's some likable characters in there. Again, they're convicts, they're delinquents, so it's really nothing that you're not really cheering them on. You're really kind of cheering on Kane for killing these people, for being just straight up D-bags. But the premise of the movie is all right. For a horror movie, I thought it was pretty good. Definitely one of, if not the best WWE Studios movie that they've ever done. Hence why it was in theaters. Financially, I'm sure it didn't do amazingly, but it did do well enough for them to warrant making a sequel all those years later, almost 8 years later. And I know, again, spoiler alert, not really spoiler alert, but to talk about, to kind of allude or expand upon what I mentioned earlier, obviously conspicuous by its absence on this list is The Marine, that other movie, The Call, with David Otunga, that came out in theaters, which I heard was great. There might have been one other movie, but definitely The Marine. Honestly, just truth be told, I've never seen the full movie. I've only seen maybe a few scenes. I've never actually seen the full thing. I've heard some people say they loved it. Other people said they hated it. I know RJ loved that movie. I have yet to see the full thing. I actually did watch number 2 with Ted DiBiase, and I thought he actually honestly did a good job. And when that came out in 2009, they've done obviously 3 more since then with The Miz. I've only seen The Marine 3. I've yet to see 4 or 5. I thought The Miz did a decent job at number 3. But yeah, Ted DiBiase's Marine 2 would be on my list of honorable mentions. I've yet to see the full thing of number 1, so I can't put it on here. Again, 12 Rounds 2 is good. They make a lot of sequels. I think the Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Condemned movie might have been WWE Studios. Again, did not see the whole thing, only like the second half, so I don't want to put it on here, but I know that was a great movie too. But again, the list one more time. Coming in at number 5, See No Evil 2. Coming in at number 4, Behind Enemy Lines, with Behind Enemy Lines, I'm like Nemo from Finding Nemo. Anemone. Behind Enemy Lines, Columbia. Number 3, Knucklehead. Number 2, 12 Rounds. And number 1, See No Evil. So I would love to know what your guys' list is of top 5 favorite, top 3 favorite, whatever. WWE Studios movies are dating back to... I mean, I've also seen The Rundown too. That might have been the first one, if not The Scorpion King. The Scorpion King's pretty good too. The Rundown, or The Walk Down, or what the hell it's called, with The Rock from many years ago. That was pretty good too. I saw that a few years back. So yeah, I would love to know what your list is, from the first one to the most recent one, whatever that might be, in the comment section down below, on the Twitter machine, at WrestleRant, on Facebook, what have you. All the descriptions are in the... or rather, all the links are in the description box down below. I'm all over the fucking place today. But that being said, guys, enjoy your weekend. Again, watch See No Evil today. It is May 19th, after all. I'm Graham GSM Matthews. We'll be back with another all-new episode next Friday. And until then, I'll catch your ass down the road.